This is an introduction to Microsoft Excel version 2010, part 2 of 3. In this part, I will go over the File menu. As you can see, there is already data entered into this spreadsheet. The specifics of this data is not important, but you will see why it's there in a moment. First, the File menu is in the top left corner of the screen. Clicking on it will open up the menu itself. The top two options are Save and Save As. If the workbook has not been previously saved, they both function the same. In this case, the workbook has already been saved under the name of data.xls, as you can see at the top of the screen. So clicking on the Save button will just resave this file under the same name. However, if you click on Save As, it'll open up this screen to allow you to save it under a different name or type. This workbook is saved under the old type, .xls, which means it can be accessed from any version of Excel. I can also save it under the new format, .xlsx, which, as you can see, there is another file with the same name already listed. This type can only be accessed by the newest version of Excel, Excel 2010. Back in the File menu, the next two options are Open and Close. Close will simply close the current workbook but leave Microsoft Excel open. As you can see, there is no longer a workbook available here. Open will allow you to open up a previously saved workbook, and in the current folder there are two workbooks, both named Data with different file types. One of them is the old file type that can be used with any version of Excel, and the other one is the new file type that can only be used in Excel 2010. I'm not going to open these right now. Back in the File menu, you can see that what is currently selected is Recent. This shows the most recent workbooks and places that have been opened. This will allow you to quickly access the most recent workbooks that have been used on this computer, or the most recent folders. If I click on Test, it'll bring me back to this folder that I came to when I selected Open. If I go to File and then New, this will allow me to open a new workbook of any type. Most commonly, you will open up a blank workbook, but there are also templates that are available for Microsoft Excel. There are different reasons for these templates. As you can see, there are options down here for them, or you can go online to find additional ones. I'm going to open up my previous document, data.xls. When I go back to File, it automatically selects Info, which gives specific information on this file. For example, over here has properties like the size of the file, the last time it was modified, and the person who created it. You can also see different options here. For example, permissions will allow you to password protect your workbook. If I move on to print, you will see that there is a print preview on the right side. This is what the document will look like when it is printed out. Because of its size, some of the formatting will appear differently here than it will once printed. This you will use more often than most of the others within the File menu. You can change the number of copies that would be printed, or you can change the printer itself. Usually, the default printer is the one that is selected, and that is the one you will print to most often, although on occasion there will be need to change this. You can also change the settings. For example, change what is being printed, how, and the orientation. In this case, this is landscape orientation. I can also change it to portrait orientation, which changes the direction the data will show on the paper. You can also change the size of the paper. The margins can also be changed, and the margin is the space from the side of the page to where the data starts. In Excel, this is about 3/4 inches. This final option is scaling, to allow you to shrink the data to fit in a particular range. Normally, you want no scaling, which will keep the data at regular size. The next option is Save and Send. Send it through Microsoft Outlook. Help is extremely useful if you have questions. The most common ones you will use is Microsoft Office Help, where you can select topics or do a search, and Getting Started, which will take you to tutorials and information sheets on common functions. Finally, you get to Options, which will take you out of the File menu and open up a new screen with Excel options. There will not be many things that you will need to change while using Excel in the labs. However, you will probably want to go through some of these to get an idea of what's available. Some of the most common options you will use will be first under Advanced, where you can change what happens when you interact with the cells in the spreadsheet, customizing the ribbon, which are the tabs at the top of the screen, Usually, when you access this is to turn on the Developer tab, which allows you to work with VBA and macros, Add-ins, which allows you to turn on specific tool packs which are included with Excel. These contain additional internal programs with Excel to allow you to work with the data more easily. And also the Trust Center. The Trust Center, you have to go to another option to open this up. You will usually only use this for macro settings, where you will be able to enable macros within a workbook so you can program in the VBA. Macros and VBA will be covered in a different video. These are the most common things that you will access within the File menu.